Aloha, Ohana and friends. It's Tales with Tutu again, and I have a 1960 children's classic written by Russell Hoban called Bedtime for Francis. Now, he wrote a series of Francis books that are wonderful, so you might want to check them out. But the reason I want to share this one with you is because I want to show you how to read in dialogue once again. Once you establish the saids, you leave them all out of the story. In this book, for example, it has said father, said mother, said Francis, and on throughout the entire book. But once you establish the characters, just leave the saids out and let your voice do the talking, and the story becomes a dramatic event. Here we go. The big hand of the clock is at 12. The little hand is at 7. It's 7 o'clock. It's bedtime for Francis. Mother said it's time for bed. Father said, time for bed, Francis. Francis said, I want a glass of milk. All right, Francis, you may have a glass of milk. Carry me to my room. All right. Piggyback. So Father carried her piggyback to the room. Father kissed Francis goodnight. Mother kissed Francis goodnight. May I sleep with my teddy bear? Father gave her the teddy bear. May I sleep with my doll too? Mother gave her the doll. Good night, Francis. Good night, dear. Did you kiss me? Yes, Francis. Kiss me again. All right. Father kissed her again. Mother kissed her again. And they closed the door. May I have my door open just a little? Good night, Francis. Good night, Francis. Good night. Francis couldn't sleep, though. She tried to close her eyes, but she still couldn't sleep. So she began to sing a little song about the alphabet, and she made it up as she went along. A is for apple pie, B is for bear, C is for crocodile combing his hair. And she kept on singing through E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, and she had no trouble until she got near the end of the alphabet. S is for sailboat, T is for tiger, U is for underwear down in the dryer. Of course, the kids crack up at underwear. But then she started to think about tigers. She thought about big tigers, little tigers, baby tigers, mother tigers, father tigers, sister tigers, brother tigers, aunt tigers, uncle tigers, and then she looked around her room. I wonder if there's any tigers around here. She looked around her room again. I'm sure there's a tiger. Maybe he's over there in the corner. She didn't want to be afraid, but she wanted to be sure, so she looked again, and she knew she could see a tiger, and she ran to tell mother and father. There's a tiger in my room. Did he bite you? No. Did he scratch you, dear? No. Then he's a friendly tiger, and he won't hurt you. Go back to sleep. Do I have to? Yes. Yes, dear. Father kissed her, mother kissed her, and she went back to her bed, and she finished her song along the way. She closed her eyes, but she still couldn't sleep. And so she started to look around the room, and she saw something big and dark and scary. Oh no, there's something with big lips over there, and maybe it's a giant. I think it is a giant. I think it wants to get me, and boom, she was back into the living room once again, where mother and father were watching television and having tea and cake. There's a giant in my room. Can I watch television? No. But the giant wants to get me. Can I have some cake? Father gave her a piece of cake. Listen, Francis, how do you know he wants to get you? Well, isn't that what giants always do? Not always. Why don't you just walk back in there, walk right up to him and ask him what he wants? So Francis finished her cake, went back to her room, and walked right over to the giant and said, Listen here, giant, what do you want? I'm not afraid of you anyway. And then she got a good look at the giant, who wasn't really a giant. It was just her bathrobe tossed over her chair, and she started to laugh. She went to bed again, and she still wasn't very tired, and she couldn't close her eyes, and so she started to look around her room, and she looked up at the ceiling, and she saw little teeny cracks in the ceiling. Oh no, maybe something's going to come out of that crack, maybe bugs or spiders or something with long skinny legs, and it's going to get me. And boom, she was back in to tell Father, and Father was brushing his teeth. Something scary's going to come out of that crack in the ceiling, and I forgot to brush my teeth, Father. Listen, Francis, you brush your teeth, and I'll go have a look. So Francis brushed her teeth. Father came back. Nothing could come out of such a little crack, but if you're really worried about it, Francis, get somebody to help you watch, and you can take turns. So Francis went back to her room and told Teddy to do the watching. Pretty soon they took turns for a while, but she got tired of it, and Teddy did all the watching. Then Francis got up to go to the bathroom and get a glass of water, and when she came back, she still wasn't sleepy at all, and she saw her curtains moving in the wind. Oh no, I don't like the way those curtains are moving. Maybe there's something out there waiting very soft and quiet. Maybe it's moving the curtains just to see if I'm watching. And boom, she was back in to see Mother and Father again, but this time they were fast asleep. Well, she tiptoed up to Dad's bed, and she stood beside his head, and she was the quietest thing in the room. She was so quiet that she was just the quietest thing in the room. All of a sudden, Father woke up. Listen, Francis, what's wrong now? Something's moving my curtains. Can I sleep with you? Listen, Francis, do you want to know why the curtains are moving? Why? That's the wind's job. Every night the wind has to go around and blow all the curtains. Well, that's silly. How can the wind have a job? Everybody has a job, Francis. I have to go to my office in the morning at 9 o'clock. That is my job. You have to go to sleep right now so you can be wide awake for school tomorrow. That is your job. I know, but I have not finished, Francis. If the wind does not blow the curtains, he'll be out of a job. If I do not go to the office, I will be out of a job. And if you do not go to sleep right now, do you know what will happen to you? I'll be out of a job? No. I'll get a spanking? Right. Ah, good night. Suddenly, Frances was very sleepy. She ran back to her room to look out the window. When she got there, she closed the window and the curtain stopped blowing. But suddenly, there was a noise at her window. A bump, thump. And that made her start thinking, oh, I know something's out there and it's going to get me. So she jumped out of bed and went to tell Mother and Father again. But just as she had her hand on the doorknob, she thought about the bumping and thumping and thought, maybe I'll just go back and see what it really was. So she went back to her room. She heard the noise at the window again. She pulled the covers over her head. She pulled the covers off her head. I wonder what it is. If it's something very, very bad, Father will have to come and chase it away. She pulled the covers off her head and stood on her bed. And then she looked out the window to see a little bit better. And you know what she saw? A moth bumping and thumping and whacking and smacking the window with its wings. Bump, thump, whack, smack. Whack, smack. Whack, smack made Frances think of maybe a spanking, and all of a sudden, she was very tired. So she lay down to close her eyes so she could think a little better. And she thought there were so many giants and tigers and scary and exciting things before that I'm pretty tired now, and that's just a moth. And he's only doing his job the same as the wind, and his job is bumping and thumping, and my job is to go to sleep. And so that's just what she did. She went to sleep and did not get out of bed again until Mother called her for breakfast. Bedtime for Frances, a great classic. Hippity hop to bed, but I'd rather stay up instead. But when Father says must, there's nothing but just go hippity hop to bed. Hippity hop to bed, but I'd rather stay up instead. But when Mother says just, there's nothing but go jippity hop to bed. Remember to share a story and a song with a friend on the way home. Aloha and a hui ho.